It's like, what were you doing with my drapes? The drapes that were hanging in the apartment. I never got the answer to that. Hi, this is Carrie from Sky Properties, and we're talking about when it makes sense to remodel or not remodel. You could strictly go by numbers and say, okay, I'm going to invest this amount of money. What is my rate of return on this investment? How fast will I get it back? Does it make sense? Am I going to sell the building and I want to make sure that on a gross rent multiplier that the rent is really high and the value is really high? Also in the city of LA, you can only increase your rent so much. Well, when a tenant leaves, you can raise the unit to market, but if you haven't remodeled your unit, you might not get market rent. That's kind of the answer right there, is that you have to sometimes spend the money in order to get the money back. If you don't remodel and that unit's sitting vacant for several weeks or months, sometimes that's your remodel money right there, and would have been better off spending that to begin with. In apartment management and ownership, there are sometimes things you just can't get around, and that forces a remodel. Sometimes it's a flood in a current occupied tenant's unit. Sometimes it's someone's moved out and they've lived there for 30 years, and the last 5 years they were in hospice, and you haven't been in the unit. Nothing's been done for 30 years. That is automatically an unwanted remodel, whether you like it or not. Some of the reasons not to remodel would be that the building's built in the last 10 years and perhaps has a very clean, modern look to it already. Let's say you have eclectic tile inside. People love that old look. So I would say, in my personal opinion, you try to save that. I have had clients come in that have buildings built in the 20s and just say, I want everything ripped out and put brand new. I usually put my foot down in those cases and say no, because you can actually get more money by refurbishing it. There's so many tricks to this trade that you can do to skate around a full remodel. When your unit becomes vacant, you want to make sure that you're getting the highest and best rent. And again, I say that because once you've locked into a rent, if you don't get the highest and best rent at the time you rent, you could be behind the market for years to come, because in a rent-controlled building, you can't raise the rent higher than currently. It's 0, but prior to this, it was 3% for many years.